Hello, hello, hello. Dr. Lockstar here, also known as Michael Smith. In this video, I'm talking about why I cut off my dreadlocks Today, I've cut off my dreadlocks. I still have a dreadlock business. You can see my nice little flashy logo here. I still have a dreadlock business. I still live outside in a tent. I still do dreadlocks in a gazebo. But I do not have dreadlocks anymore. And why? Well, this morning, I started reflecting on my dreadlocks in meditation, and it was actually after spending 2 hours doing my maintenance and really just considering my dreams, my ambitions, what I want out of dreadlocks, what the dreadlocks have given me since I've had them for 7.5 years. And for one reason why I cut them is because I I learned a lot throughout this process. This being the second time that I've had dreadlocks. The first time I had them for about 3 years, and this time, how I did the parts in the front, how I did the parts is they were in a rows. It was like planting crops in a rows, and so I actually want to have them staggered next time, and I want them to be bigger in the front. They were too small. I had too many 99 dreadlocks. I'm gonna shoot for 81 next time around, and I'm gonna have 5 across the front instead of 6. I had 4 across the front the first time, and they were too big. I had 6 across the front, and they were too small. So next time I'll have 5. And so one reason why I cut them off is because I want to do them differently next time. I want to make them a little bigger, not as many, so it's easier to maintain. And also too, because when you have really small dreadlocks, if you overlook them, if you don't keep them maintained, they can get damaged easily. And also too, because I do dreadlocks for a living and I crochet dreadlocks, if you crochet thin dreadlocks too much, you can damage them, you can break them. And so throughout the years of struggling with depression, I had used the wrong tools on my dreadlocks, and I had crocheted those front ones too much with the wrong tools, and it had damaged them, and some had to become torn in certain areas. I had to repair them. Other ones that were breaking towards the end because of like rubber bands, arrows, all types of shit kept happening. and I want to start fresh. And so that's one reason. And because I have my picture of the dreadlocks that I want to have, and after having these for 7.5 years, I know in my heart that these aren't it. They're not it. And so in order to get the dreadlocks of my dreams, I have to get rid of the dreadlocks that aren't of my dreams. You have to get out with the old, in with the new. But then there was other factors today that inspired me to choose today to do it instead of tomorrow or the next day or the next day. And the other thing is that for 7.5 years, those dreadlocks have been with me through jail, through prison. They have been with me through heartache and depression and anxiety and love and trauma. Like those dreadlocks have been with me through losing my mind on multiple occasions, on substances and sober. Like those dreadlocks have been through some shit with me, and I've learned a lot about myself as a person by having those dreadlocks and having to work on them and find ways to do the things that I had to do with them. But at the end of the day, they're not the dreadlocks of my dreams, and I want all the baggage, all the shit that I went through, and all the things that baggage and that shit that may remind other people about what we went through. I want to put all that to the rest. I want to let all of that go, and so to start off on a fresh footing and move in the direction of where I want my life to go. I want to just start over, and that's what cutting my dreadlocks off means to me. It's symbolizing it's me starting over. I still love dreadlocks. I still do dreadlocks for a living, but I want to start fresh. I want to when I get dreadlocks this next time, I want to be firm in the footing of sanity. I want to know the truth and live the truth and express myself as the truth on a day-to-day basis before I take that step of getting those dreadlocks. So I'm going to be working hard, refining myself, my inner self, so that by the time that I am ready to begin again and get dreadlocks again, that I am ready to fully embrace that commitment to oneself, not myself. And there's a big difference, and that's also, I'm sure that cutting my dreadlocks off means other things. For instance, cutting them off was actually a liberating experience. I've had dreams and nightmares of losing my dreads or cutting my dreads off, but when it actually came down to cutting them off and taking the snips into my own hands and doing it for myself, because I was like, it was actually a freeing experience. A lot of times people get dreadlocks kind of to go against the grain of society and to be themselves in spite of what other people think that they should be. And this time around it was no different, because people think that I should have dreadlocks. And now I'm going against the grain and doing exactly what they do not expect me to do, in order to be true to myself, and that is to let go of the thing. I'm manicuring these dreads, I'm keeping these dreads nice, I'm keeping these dreads clean, I'm doing everything for these dreads, and in my heart I know that they're not the dreads that I want yet. In my heart I know that I made mistakes with those dreads, and I want to start over. I want to start fresh. I want to take all the lessons, all the heartache, all the mistakes that I have gained and gleaned over the 7.5 years that I've had that set and the 3 years that I had the previous set, and I want to use that to my advantage to create my dream of what I would call perfect set of dreadlocks. And if I consider all the dreadlocks that I had, there are certain dreadlocks in there that I like the shape of it, I like the size of it, and that's the size that I'll be going for with the final set. Excuse me. And it really was a freeing experience to cut off my dreadlocks after all this time, because not a lot of people think about this, and this is true, is that it comes a certain time when you stop doing the things you want to do and you start doing the things you think that will be best for your dreadlocks, which may not be the funnest things, may not be the best things, but you do it for the dreadlocks, and you do it for the image of the dreadlocks and what they may represent, or what you've come to represent by them. And I'm all for overcoming the self, the egoic self, the idea that imposes itself on our life experiences, in which we think that we are this person instead of being the being that we are, and playing the role of this character as it portrays itself. Here's Sage Boo. Look at her. Sage! Look at that little fluffy butt. Look at that little fluffy butt. She's such a good puppy. And I was listening to an audiobook this morning while I was doing my dreads. That was the crazy part, is that I worked on my dreads for 3 hours this morning, and then I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. These aren't even the dreads that I want. And I've learned, by having these dreads for 7.5 years, I've realized that these aren't the dreads that I want. Why am I maintaining something that I don't want? Why am I working and putting forth the effort and the hours and the struggle to keep something that I don't want? And I was like, you know what? I'm getting rid of it. And I was actually listening to an audiobook by James Allen, and if you have not heard of that author, please check it out. You will be amazed at the profoundness of his words. And so I was listening to that, and it was talking about truth and overcoming the self, and what is involved in pursuing truth and eliminating the self, because you can only experience the self or truth, and the self, as I'm describing it, is like the ego. It's the ego. It's who we think we are and what we think is true versus the truth, which is true and real regardless of what we think. And as more and more and more as I dive into my personal meditation practice that I call the primal choice, the more and more I've discovered this truth within me that is eternal and that is real, and it doesn't care about this whole, physical embodiment. And yet, the more I can live from that place, from that space, and the less I can and the more I can step out of this ego, this personality construct, and release the beliefs and preferences and ideologies, the freer I feel within this vessel, as this person enjoying this experience. And that's what I felt when I began to decide, on cutting my dreadlocks off. Is that I'm moving towards it. It was a little scary. It was a little scary as I was cutting them off. Right before I was cutting them off, I was like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do this? I was like, because I got a business that revolves around these dreads, and everybody who knows me, I'm going to be dealing with a whole month or so of, where'd your dreadlocks go? Where'd your dreadlocks go? I'm just, and I know this is coming. But the key thing is that I'm doing this for me. I'm letting go of the past. I'm moving on. I know that I want a certain kind of dreadlocks, a certain size that take less maintenance. And 99 dreadlocks, and some of them being too small, it took work. It took work to maintain them over the last 7.5 years, and I finally had it. Had enough. So I want to take a break from that. But literally just when I cut those dreadlocks off, once I got the first one, I was like, you know what? I didn't die. I didn't die. It wasn't the end of the world. So I cut off another one, and I cut off another one, and I cut off, and then I'm not bald. And I actually, I was like, oh yeah, I remember me looking like this. I was like, I'm actually a handsome fella. I was like, I don't need the dreadlocks to be who I am. I don't need to be the dreadlocks to be myself. And when I did start those dreadlocks, I did think and feel and emote in such a ways that I thought that I needed those dreadlocks to be myself. I thought that they represented me on a deep, unconscious level. And which really is, they helped me come to terms with expressing myself. They helped me get in touch with myself. They inspired me, and because I originally, with that set of dreadlocks that I had, what inspired me to start those dreadlocks was because I had put dreadlocks in somebody else's head, and I'd been through the same struggles as him, and that was the first person that actually put dreadlocks in his head, and I was so inspired by that experience. I was like, you know what? I'd been for a whole year imagining the perfect set of dreadlocks on my heads, and nothing was happening. I was like, I might have to do something about it. So I did my own dreadlocks. I did my own dreadlocks because I had done someone else's dreadlocks. And then, through jail and through prison, I did other people's dreadlocks because they saw my little nubs on my head. They saw my nubs, and they was like, hey man, who did your dreadlocks? It was like, and I said, when I say me, they say, can you help me? And that's actually how I got my dreadlock business started. In prison, in jail, I was doing other people's dreadlocks with no tools, just using a pencil as an aid, installing, repairing, and maintaining their dreadlocks for them. And it was through that process that led me here to this point. It was like, now I have a successful dreadlock business that's gradually getting more and more successful as I learned how to run a business better. But when I got out of prison, I was starting off, I was only making $10 an hour, whether that be construction work or dreadlocks, because that's how much value I placed on myself and on my time at that time. But I used to do 12-hour sessions, going all day, all night, doing other people's dreadlocks. But over time, I was like, it became more about the money and less a part about helping other people get the dreadlocks of the dreams. And so that's when I was like, you know what? I started exploring myself. I started questioning my worth, and that's when I started upping my prices. And then I went from $10 an hour to $15 an hour, 15 to $25 an hour. I lost a lot of clients just from that, just for going $10 to $25. I lost a lot of clients. But then the ones who really loved me as a person, and the ones who really loved the work that I did for them, they stayed with me throughout the years. And they stayed with me all the way up until where I was charging them $80 an hour. They still stayed with me, my best ones. And then I went back, and I went back and I stopped at $50 an hour for my repeat clients and $60 an hour for my new clients. And it got to that point. It got to the point where I became comfortable in my skills and my abilities, and they enjoyed the person that I am, and I enjoy the company that they represent, and that I get to experience with them. And just so happens that dreadlocks are what brought us together. Now, having said all of that, what it really came down to is that, to being true to myself. Back then, when I started that set of dreadlocks, I had to get dreadlocks in order to be true to myself. and then recently, today, in order to stay true to myself, I had to remove the dreadlocks, because I knew in my heart that they weren't the ones for me. Not anymore. They got me to where I am, but they're not the dreadlocks that are going to take me to where I want to go. And I really just wanted to let it go. To let go of all the constraints of the past and everything that those dreadlocks were attached to, and the burden that they placed in my present day, because they weren't the ones that I truly wanted to have anymore. And so I felt it. I felt it in that meditation. I was like, it's coming. I was like, but how soon? How, when, and where? And then it was like, then I came to terms with the decision. And when I made that decision, I was like, let me go and announce it on Instagram, and then I was like, you know what? I was gonna wait till the evening to do it. It was like, no reason to back out now. I'm not waiting for anybody else except me. So did it all myself, and I can say that it's a very freeing experience. Just as having dreadlocks was a very freeing experience, because it helped me get in touch with who I am, and it helped me become the person that I am today, just through the process of the opportunities and the business and the and the people that I've met. That I love the dreadheads. That type of person who wants to be free, or express themselves in their own unique way, whether that be through dreadlocks or some other avenue of hairstyle or lifestyle or whatever. This has been a great experience so far, and I'm gonna continue to have this experience with my clients, and with anybody who happens to cross paths with me. And in summary, that's why I cut my dreadlocks off, because it's not who I am anymore. I want to pursue a new life experience, someday get some dreads again, but do them the way that I want them to be done, based on the experiences that I've had and the dreads that I've had in the past. And any kind of baggage related to those dreadlocks, I'm going to leave it at the door. Because I can see now that it came to the point where I was just keeping the dreads because I thought that my business revolved around that. No, my business started there. And now my business is a self-sustaining thing, where people come to me not because of the dreadlocks that I have, but for the dreadlocks that I'm going to give them. And that's what my business is all about. And as for my lifestyle, I'm going to keep as it presently stands, unless something changes. I'm going to keep grooving while I'm grooving outside my little gazebo. I'm going to sleep in my tent and love my little puppy. And life will go on. Because at the end of the day, it's just hair. And that's it. That's all I have to say about the topic. My name is Michael Smith, Dr. Lockstar, and I will see you later.